It's happening, and it's closer than most people realize. We are standing at the edge of one of the most powerful and anticipated events of this entire year. And the truth is, no one is fully prepared for what is about to unfold. The night sky is about to transform before our very eyes. The moon, our constant silent companion, is preparing to roar in red. This is not an ordinary full moon, and it is far more than just another eclipse. What's approaching is a total lunar eclipse, a blood moon. The kind that for centuries has been both feared and revered, spoken of in hushed tones, celebrated in rituals, and remembered in legends that echo through time. And unlike stories of distant cosmic wonders, this is not something we're waiting generations to see. It is arriving soon, and it may very well mark one of the most defining days of 2025. And here's what makes this moment unlike any other. You don't get to sit back and simply observe. None of us do. The blood moon does not wait for anyone to feel ready, nor does it allow us to hide in the shadows of comfort. This gravity pulls us all into its orbit. Whether you believe in its deeper meaning or not, the shift it creates is undeniable. For thousands of years, across cultures and civilizations, people sensed that something was profoundly different when the moon turned blood red. Stories varied. Some saw it as an omen, others as a sacred message, but across all those beliefs, one thing remained the same. A blood moon was never just another night in the sky. It was a sign, a signal, a cosmic turning point demanding attention. And the difference this time is that you're not simply waiting for the date to arrive. You are already standing in its energy. The days leading up to the blood moon feel as if the air itself is charged, heavy with invisible currents pressing on your spirit. Small inconveniences strike harder than they should. Emotions flare with little provocation, and even silence feels thick, almost alive. It's as though the universe itself is shaking you awake, loosening the attachments, habits, and relationships that cannot pass through this eclipse with you. You may not always understand it in the moment, but everything you feel during this time is part of the preparation. When the blood moon arrives, it isn't just meant for your admiration. It doesn't glow red simply for beauty or spectacle. It comes with purpose, comes to reveal. As the Earth's shadow swallows the moon and paints it crimson, it is as though the universe itself holds up a mirror, magnifying the truth of your life. It demands that you see what has been ignored, denied, or buried. It strips away illusions and shines light on cracks in your path, on relationships that weigh you down instead of lifting you, and on the silent patterns that have long kept you from stepping fully into who you are meant to become. And once it has been revealed, there is no unseeing it. This is why ancient cultures both revered and feared the blood moon. It was never a night of neutrality. It was a night of truth, of awakenings, of irreversible shifts. Think of it not as a single event, but as a cosmic alarm clock. It isn't a gentle nudge or a quiet reminder. It is the kind of awakening that shakes you from the deepest sleep, forcing you to open your eyes when you would rather keep dreaming. The blood moon burns through illusions. It doesn't let you pretend. Some people, of course, will try to look away. They'll try to ignore what has surfaced, to dismiss what they've been shown, to pretend nothing has changed. But if you are hearing these words, then you already know you are not one of those people. You will feel the shift. You will see what you are meant to see. You will know what must be released in order for you to move forward. But this is only part of the story, because while your own awakening is powerful and undeniable, the blood moon does not work on individuals alone. It stirs the entire collective field. It shakes not only your inner world, but the shared energy of humanity itself. And when that collective energy begins to erupt, it is impossible not to feel it. The air becomes charged with tension. You'll see it in people everywhere. Strangers snapping over the smallest of inconveniences, conversations escalating into arguments, moods swinging wildly, tempers flaring in ways that seem uncharacteristic. It will feel chaotic, but it is not random. For as long as history remembers, blood moons have been linked with unrest, upheaval, and disruption. This wasn't superstition, it was recognition. People felt the shift. They didn't always have the language for it, but they knew the energy was real. And now, once again, we find ourselves in that same moment. It's important to remind yourself that the chaos unfolding around you isn't about you personally. It's the collective pressure boiling over. People are reacting to energies they don't understand, energies they can't contain. When someone lashes out, when the world feels unusually tense, remember, it is the eclipse stirring the pot, shaking loose instability, forcing old energies to collapse so something new can rise. But the question lingers, if the energy feels this unstable now, what happens when the shadow fully falls across the moon? That is when the unpredictability reaches its peak. For most people, the blood moon will remain little more than a spectacle, something to admire and photograph. But for those who are sensitive to energy, for the empaths, the intuitives, the souls who feel the Earth's frequency shifting like a pulse within themselves, it is not just a show. It can be overwhelming. It feels like standing in front of an amplifier turned to maximum volume, every note vibrating through your nervous system. When the moon turns red, the noise of the collective becomes deafening. The stress, the fear, the unresolved frustrations of others pour into the air around you. And if you are attuned, you'll feel it before you even realize what's happening. This is why those who are most awakened don't rush into crowds or celebrate loudly during an eclipse. They feel an instinctive pull to step back, to retreat, to quiet their space. It isn't about rejecting people, it's about protecting their own field so the blood moon can work on them directly. Silence, in this moment, is not emptiness. It is clarity. It is where the strongest signals from the universe arrive. The blood moon wants to recalibrate you, but for that to happen, you must create space. So if you suddenly feel the desire to withdraw, to turn off the noise, to disconnect from distractions, don't resist it. Don't label it antisocial. Recognize it for what it truly is, alignment. The eclipse is calling you into solitude, where truth can be heard most clearly. And when you allow yourself that solitude, something even deeper becomes possible. Because hidden within the shadow of the blood moon lies a rare energetic doorway, a moment when manifestation itself bends in ways that do not happen under ordinary skies. When the balance of light and shadow collapses, the usual rhythms of release and reflection are broken. In that disruption lies extraordinary power. This is not the time for timid wishes or half-hearted intentions. The energy of a blood moon does not carry whispers gently into the universe. It forges them like iron in fire. Manifestations born under a blood moon are heavier, sharper, and more unshakable than those created in ordinary cycles. They are not dreams floating on the wind. They are foundations hammered into existence. But the blood moon asks something in return. It will not respond to hesitation or vague desires. It demands boldness, certainty, and conviction. This is not energy for the faint-hearted. It is energy for those willing to step into the fire of transformation and declare, with absolute clarity, what they are here to create. And this is why the blood moon matters so much. It is not just about what happens in the sky. It is about what happens in you, in all of us, and in the collective. It is a night of endings and beginnings, of revelations and manifestations, of chaos and clarity, all colliding under a crimson moon. When the shadow passes and the light returns, you will not be the same. None of us will. They do not simply exist on the surface, fragile and fleeting like passing wishes. Instead, they root themselves deeply into the unseen layers of existence, weaving into the very soil of reality itself. To think of them as mere hopes would be to underestimate their power. It is far more accurate to see them as contracts, sacred agreements between your soul and the universe. Every word you speak, every vision you dare to claim under the shadow of this blood moon becomes etched into the eclipse, pressed into permanence by the weight of cosmic darkness. And once sealed, they are not easily undone. That is why discernment is vital. This night does not honor hesitation or half-hearted desires. It demands clarity, conviction, and courage. The energy of this eclipse is not casual. It is not a time to toy with vague wishes or convenient longings. This is the moment to declare what you would stake your entire being upon, the truth you refuse to release no matter how heavy the cost may be. The blood moon listens only to what is born of fire, of unshakable will. It respects not convenience, but the rawness of courage. And as the eclipse deepens, As the moon takes on its haunting crimson glow, you will feel it in your body before you even understand it with your mind. Your chest may tighten as though something within you is bracing for a leap. Your thoughts may quicken into a storm. Your hands may buzz with restless tingling. This is not anxiety. This is energy gathering, waiting for direction, begging for declaration. It is the universe whispering, "Speak your truth now. Claim what is yours." What you claim in this moment carries more than symbolic weight. Under the blood moon, words are not mere breath. They are carved into the shadow, etched into the very fabric of night, carried forward with a force that does not fade with dawn. This is the rare stage where the universe bends toward those who refuse to doubt. To hesitate now is to scatter the moment into nothingness. To act with conviction is to leave a mark that reality itself cannot erase. So when the moon is drenched in red, when the air is still and silence hangs heavy, you must ask yourself, what truth am I willing to bind into existence? What vision will I risk everything to declare? Because hesitation will strip you bare, but conviction will shape your destiny. The blood moon does not arrive with patience. It does not wait for you to tidy your life neatly before stepping forward. It rips open the door and drags every hidden shadow into the light. This is why you cannot afford to be caught unprepared. If you do not clear what weighs you down, the eclipse will do it for you, and its methods are rarely gentle. Even now, in these final hours before the red glow spreads across the sky, you are being asked to confront your truth. Look with sharp eyes at your life. What arguments linger, unspoken but poisoning the air? What conversations have you buried, hoping neglect would erase them? The blood moon will not allow them to remain dormant. It will either force them into the open through chaos, or you will choose to resolve them with clarity. It is not only people who hold you, objects, memories, relics of the past. These too carry weight. That hidden box of old letters that twists your stomach each time you remember it. The thread of messages you reread endlessly, chaining yourself to ghosts. Why do you still let them live in your space? These are not harmless keepsakes. They are hooks, and the blood moon pulls on every hook until it rips free. If your energy is cluttered, the eclipse does not gently expand your space. Crashes through, scattering the mess until you are forced to deal with it. That is why this night demands action, not vague reflection. You release what does not belong now on your own terms, or the blood moon will rip it away on its terms, and its way is always harsher. This is the purge. Ruthless, urgent, unavoidable. You cannot carry the past into the future this eclipse offers. The blood moon strips what you cling to so that only truth remains. And so you must ask yourself, what will you release willingly? What will you claim with fire? Because once the shadow falls, hesitation becomes costly. The blood moon does not whisper softly. It dares. It dares you to cross the threshold you have been staring at for months, perhaps even years. And in its glow, hesitation burns away. Suddenly, the choice you feared becomes the choice you cannot avoid. Suddenly, you speak the words. You take the step. You leap. The blood moon hands you the flame and watches to see if you will bear it. History tells us this is how eclipses work. Ordinary people step into extraordinary moments because the energy snaps something awake inside them. Stories echo of workers walking away from suffocating jobs with no plan but a new breath of freedom. Lovers have confessed what they buried for years, altering the course of their lives in a single trembling moment. Others ended what was already dead, cutting the cord under the red glow because silence was no longer bearable. These patterns repeat because the blood moon pushes us beyond fear. It reduces the power of rejection, of embarrassment, of failure until they seem too small to matter. And in that space, truth rises. Some awaken the morning after an eclipse shocked by what they did. Yet deep inside, it never feels wrong. The blood moon strips hesitation, leaving only what is real. So if tonight you feel the sudden rush, the impulse to speak what has been silenced, the bravery to send the message you always deleted, or the courage to ignite a change that cannot be undone, do not be surprised. That is the work of the blood moon. Cracks you open and demands that you act. The question is, will you step into the fire or let it pass? For one certainty remains. Such moments do not come twice. The total lunar eclipse does not arrive as a soft teacher. It is raw, ruthless in its honesty. Under its red glow, masks are torn away. The practiced smiles, the polite silences, the careful agreements that kept the peace. They crumble. The blood moon exposes not who people wish to be, but who they are. You will see it in sudden irritations, in sharp words that cut through the surface, in confessions that tumble out unplanned. And it will not only be others. The mirror will not lie to you either. You may hear yourself admitting something you never thought you could face. This is why blood moons once struck fear across civilizations. Not because of the shadow in the sky, but because of the shadows they force us to confront within ourselves. And yet, what feels unsettling is also what sets you free. The illusions collapse. Lies cannot withstand the red glow. Relationships shift. Some break, revealing they were never what you imagined. Others deepen because now, at last, truth stands uncovered. In this, the blood moon gives its greatest gift, not comfort, but clarity. It shatters illusions so that you can finally see what is real. It pulls truth out of your heart the way an earthquake cracks the earth, forcing buried feelings to rise. It is relentless, yes. It is messy, but it leaves you standing in the clear air of honesty. Sometimes energy moves through us in ways we can't predict or rationalize. It doesn't always arrive like memory, neat and traceable, but more like a cleansing wave that overtakes the body. For some, it pours out as tears that feel endless, as if the soul is wringing itself dry. For others, it arrives as laughter, sudden and unexplainable bursts of joy that break open the silence without warning. And for many, it comes in the form of anger, frustration, or heartbreak rising out of nowhere, like buried embers catching flame again. None of it is random. Every flicker, every outburst is part of the same awakening. The eclipse itself is pressing into the deepest layers of your emotional body, jolting it awake the same way the earth shudders when an earthquake shakes loose the plates below. Your chest, your heart, your very center is vibrating with the pressure it has carried for too long. And in this moment, it can no longer stay hidden. What makes this time so intense is that it bypasses all logic. It doesn't matter how rational you are or how much you try to explain it. You may suddenly find yourself overwhelmed with love for someone you haven't thought about in years. You might hear a song that has been in your life for decades and, for the first time, it pierces you with such tenderness that it brings you to tears. Or you may sense, with no proof at all, that something monumental is shifting in the deepest chambers of your being right now. That's because this isn't about the mind, it never was. This is about the raw core of who you are being shaken awake, stripped bare, and revealed. And here's the secret most people overlook. The blood moon itself does not cause these feelings. It does not invent your grief, your longing, your rage, or your joy. It simply reveals what has been there all along. The quake doesn't create the pressure. It exposes the fault line that was already waiting. If you've been hiding your love, you may feel it swell until you can no longer hold it back. If grief has been locked in your chest, it may rise in waves so strong they knock you off your feet. If anger has been pushed down, you may finally feel it claw its way to the surface. This is why blood moons have always been described as overwhelming. They don't let the heart keep its secrets. When the eclipse shakes your soul, it does not destroy you. It breaks you open so you can expand. That is the deeper power of a spiritual heartquake. Every tear that escapes, every laugh that bursts out unexpectedly, every raw confession that slips past your lips without planning. These are signs of renewal. They are proof that your emotional body is being reset, stripped of the heaviness it no longer needs to carry. You are making space. You are shaking off old skins, releasing masks, loosening the bonds that never fit who you truly are. Something more authentic is trying to rise, and it cannot do so while your heart is locked in silence. So if this eclipse leaves you crying without explanation, laughing so hard your chest hurts, or saying things you never imagined you'd say, don't fight it. Don't stuff it down. Feel it, because the blood moon isn't here to break you. It's here to show you the strength that pulses through your veins when your heart finally beats without restraint. As the eclipse draws nearer, the energy doesn't just hum quietly in the background. It intensifies, collides. It multiplies until it spills over into every single interaction. If you are sensitive, if you're someone who already feels the moods of those around you, then these days are especially crucial. Boundaries are no longer optional. They are survival. When the moon turns red, every vibration grows louder. Every emotion feels sharper. The people you allow into your space will influence you more than you realize. Some will lift you higher, filling you with lightness, hope, and peace. Others will leave you drained, anxious, or doubting yourself. And under the eclipse, those drains don't just nibble at your spirit. They pull like a tidal current, threatening to drown you in weight that was never yours to carry. This is why arguments spark from nowhere, why an innocent comment suddenly cuts too deeply, why a 5-minute exchange can leave you exhausted for hours. The blood moon doesn't only magnify your emotions, it magnifies theirs. And if you're not careful, you'll end up carrying the turbulence of people who never learned to manage their own storms. This is where your strength is tested, not in how much you can endure, but in how firmly you can protect your own flame from being smothered. So what do you do when the air grows heavy with amplified energy? You hold your ground. You draw the line. You don't have to announce it or explain yourself to anyone. You simply enforce it. If someone's presence feels heavy, give yourself permission to step back. If social spaces feel too chaotic, step away before the noise becomes unbearable. If you feel the urge to unplug from constant notifications, endless scrolling, or the chatter of group chats, honor that instinct. This is not isolation. This is preservation. These days are not about merging with the noise of the world. They are about tuning back into your own frequency, the one that carries your truth. Because the blood moon doesn't just multiply energy, it magnifies influence. If you surround yourself with chaos, chaos will seep into your skin. If you surround yourself with clarity, clarity will root itself in your bones. That is why it is not selfish to close the door, to say no, to guard your peace with everything you have. Protecting your energy isn't rejection. It's alignment. It is the choice to live in the world you wish to inhabit, not the one others impose on you. And here is a truth many don't realize. If you refuse to set your own boundaries, the eclipse will set them for you. And when it does, it will not be gentle. People will vanish from your life in sudden, shocking ways. Conflicts will erupt. Relationships that could not withstand the pressure will collapse. That is why the days leading up to the eclipse are sacred. They are your chance to decide what stays and what goes before the sky makes the decision for you. You can release energy drains quietly and consciously, or you can wait for the blood moon to rip them from your hands. If you find yourself craving solitude, listen. If certain people suddenly feel louder than usual, pay attention. Your soul is showing you what needs protection, because when the eclipse reaches its peak, your energy will turn into a magnet, pulling in whatever surrounds you. Guard it now, and the blood moon will amplify your strength. Leave it open, and it will amplify chaos that isn't even yours. This is why boundaries matter more than ever. They are not walls to keep the world away. They are shields that allow you to stand in the middle of cosmic turbulence and remain steady. And when the sky runs red, steadiness is not just rare. It is the most powerful gift you can hold. There are nights that drift by quietly, no different than the ones before. And then there are nights that brand themselves onto your soul, nights that stamp themselves so deeply into your being that you carry their imprint forever. The blood moon eclipse of 2025 is one of those nights. It is not just another lunar event, not just another turning of the cosmic wheel. It is a scar of fire drawn across the heavens, demanding that you leave your own mark upon the earth. It is the night where endings become beginnings, where silence breaks into truth, where the heart no longer whispers but roars. This isn't about waiting for the right moment, because that illusion of waiting has already kept you still for too long. The truth is, this is the right moment. Not tomorrow, not a year from now, not when everything feels safer or more prepared. The universe has already aligned the stage, and tonight the sky itself is handing you something rare, something you won't be able to find again in the same way. It's as if creation has written you a one-time permission slip, daring you to finally step into the very thing you've been avoiding, the leap you've circled endlessly but never taken, the decision you've been too afraid to make. And make no mistake, Years from now, when you look back, this night will stand out. It won't fade like the countless ordinary evenings that pass unnoticed. It will glow in your memory as the pivot point, the turning of a tide, the moment you can trace everything back to. The night when hesitation ended and something inside of you shifted forever. Think about the journey that brought you here. Every cycle of your life, every pause, every excuse you wrapped around yourself like a blanket of safety, every delay that felt like protection but was really avoidance. All of it has been building toward this crescendo. Tonight the veil is thin, the shadow stretches long, and under the red glow of the blood moon, all of that is ripped open. The blood moon doesn't just illuminate the night sky, it casts a light inside you. It shines between who you have been and who you were always meant to become. And within that illuminated gap lies a choice sharper than any blade. Will you rise and step across it? Or will you shrink back into silence and pretend you didn't see it? Here's the truth, and it is not gentle. The blood moon doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for your comfort or perfection. It demands, calls, and it will not repeat itself in this form again. You don't need to be perfect to answer it. You don't need a flawless plan with every detail mapped. You don't even need to know the exact destination. What you need is a single act, raw, bold, undeniable enough to mark this night in your soul as the moment everything changed. For some of you, that act will look like breaking a cycle that has chained you for years. Maybe it's walking away from something you've long known is poison. Maybe it's finally slamming the door on what's been draining the very life from you, even when part of you has been afraid to let it go. For others, it may be in the words you've swallowed for too long, the truths, confessions, and desires that have burned your tongue in silence. Tonight is the night to release them, no matter how terrifying it feels, because silence has already cost you too much. And then there are the rare souls among you who will be called to something even bigger. Tonight is not for wishes whispered quietly into the dark. It is for declarations. This is the night to set an intention so audacious, so unshakable, that it even scares you. A contract between you and the universe, signed not on paper, but in energy, in fire, in the glow of the blood moon. A contract that once sealed, cannot be undone. That is what makes this night unlike any other. Yes, there will be other full moons. Yes, there will be other eclipses. But none of them will carry this shadow, this crimson fire, this alignment that comes once in a lifetime. The universe doesn't hand out endless chances. No matter how much we convince ourselves there will always be more time. A blood moon is not a gentle reminder. It is a deadline, and deadlines cut through hesitation with clarity. Deadlines leave no room for maybe later. They demand now. So I dare you, don't let the sky do all the bleeding tonight. Make your own mark. Burn the letter you should have destroyed long ago. Break the chain you've been dragging like a weight. Shatter the mask you've been hiding behind. Throw out the object that has tied you to a past you no longer belong to. Write down the dream so outrageous you've been too scared to claim it, and declare it yours. Or stand beneath this blood-red sky and shout your truth into the night until your voice shakes. Because if not now, then when? This is not about ritual, not about going through motions. This is about impact. It's about doing something so undeniable, so deeply bold, that when your future self looks back, they will know exactly when it all began. Tonight, your soul will remember, your spirit will carry the echo, and you will not just recall that you watched the eclipse, you will know without a doubt that you answered it. So ask yourself this with full honesty. If you could only do one thing tonight, one single act that changes everything, what would it be? Don't overthink, don't push it aside. That answer rising in your chest, that trembling thought, that's it. That's the call. Because when the shadow passes, and the sky pretends to return to normal, don't be fooled. Nothing will truly be the same again. The energy has shifted, and the only question is whether you will shift with it, or be the one who stood beneath the blood moon and stayed silent, leaving the call unanswered. This is your chance. Your one shot. Claim it. Seal it. Burn it into the very fabric of your reality. Because the moon will bleed whether you act or not. But only those who dare to bleed with it, only those who mark themselves alongside the sky, will be remembered by this night. And if you're still here listening, I want to thank you. Your presence matters. If this spoke to you and you'd like to journey deeper with me, make sure you subscribe. Share your own experience, your truth, your intention in the comments below. This space is for you. Until we meet again, take care of your spirit, honor your path, and remember, when the moon calls, it's because you were born to answer.